To our main story now, Wimbledon 2023 has come to a conclusion with women's champion Marketa VondrU-shoova crowned yesterday after beating Tunisia's Ons Jabeur. Today, however, was an even bigger spectacle, with 20-year-old Carlos Alcaraz winning the men's championship after a 5-hour battle with 7-time winner Novak Djokovic. To talk us through that 5-setter, tennis analyst, Bruce Davidson, join us via Zoom now. Bruce, you were frozen earlier. Are you there? Welcome to Sports Live.
I'm here.
Welcome to Sports Live. Good evening, Bruce. So let's start with the ladies. We saw a new champion yesterday being crowned the first unseeded women's Wimbledon champion, that is Vondrousova, I should say. What was her journey like to the top?
Well, I think it's an incredible win for her. Last year, she was a spectator in the crowds with a cask on her hand because she was injured. So coming into this tournament, first of all, unseeded and crafting her way through to the final was a big achievement in itself. Very, very seldom does an unseeded player manage to get through not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 6 rounds of tennis to a final. And obviously she was up against Ons Jabeur, who knew the centre court. She's played there before last year in the final. So it was quite daunting for the Czech Republic player. And I just felt that she managed herself very well. She had good composure. Ons Jabeur was a little bit tentative, I think a little bit nervous, a lot of pressure on her, nothing to lose for the Czech Republic player. And Vondrousova just managed to win probably the greatest Grand Slam title of all. She's been in the final before in France at Roland Garros, but this is a big one for her, and I think we're going to see a lot coming from this player.
Yeah, you speak about her final match with Ons there. Someone who's lost her 3rd Grand Slam final now. It must be very difficult for her, to come to that realization. But what is she not getting right when it comes to these last matches?
Well, I think that she's got a little bit of a work to do with the mental side of the game. Her technical side of the game is also a little bit different from all the players. She's a chip and charge player. She's a bit unorthodox. So, she's got to work a lot harder to win those big matches like a final of a Grand Slam. And if her mental toughness is not right there and she comes into that final not 100% mentally on point, she's going to be vulnerable. It happened yesterday. She was scared. She was tentative. She knew she was playing someone that had nothing to lose, was going to hit the ball hard, was going to lose points and not worry, was going to, just play a loose type of game, and that's always dangerous. Because all Ons wanted to do was win a final. She just wanted to win a final, especially at Wimbledon. But she'll win some Grand Slams. She's just too talented a player, too nice of a player, and she's definitely got it in her. She's learning a lot from losing these finals. She's been at 3 finals. It's an incredible achievement, but she'll step up and she'll win some.
The fact that she may have perhaps been the favorite going to this final, did that play into that, or was she even the favorite in your thinking?
Well, for a tennis analyst, we always worry about the unseeded players going into a final because they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They go in there, they know that every bit of pressure's on the seeded player and the player that got to the final last year. The big advantage for Ons was she's been on that court in a final. It's a complete different ball game. To playing a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round match. There's royalty all around. Shikana's in the house. Brad Pitt's in the house. The princess is in the house. So all of those things play a big part. And I just felt that, the Czech Republic player, honestly, she kept her calm, went in there, and I think Ons Jabeur, the moment was too big for her because the crowd wanted her to win as well. So there was pressure from that side as well. Today we saw how Carlos managed that occasion. Yeah. Novak Djokovic is a king of the centre court. He owns it. He was going for his 8th title. He had so much to play for. The world #1 ranking was on the line, and Carlos crafted his way through and in 5 sets won that final.
Yeah, let's talk about that match. I mean, the last time these two, there was a potential for them in Paris to meet, but injury deprived us of that match. So what made today's quite a big spectacle that it was?
Well, first of all, Carlos hasn't played a lot on the grass, and Djokovic alluded to that in his post-match discussion with Annabelle Croft on court. He was very impressed, Novak Djokovic, the way Carlos has adapted to the grass. It's a very a unique surface. It's fast, it's low, and it's only played 1 month of the year, where clay and hardcourt are played much more months of the year throughout the year. And when he came into Queens, the biggest warm-up tournament to Wimbledon, and he won that, it was a big, big warning to everybody that Carlos Alcaraz is a big, big threat to the Wimbledon crown. And let me tell you something, we're going to see a lot more coming from this kid. He's explosive. Yeah. He's mature. He's only 19. We must remember that. He's a 19-year-old, and the way he plays the ball, the way he moves around the court and regroups when he falls off on the court, there's going to be lots coming from this kid.
Yeah, and now we're moving over to the hard court season. Who will have the edge between these two? Who do you believe?
Well, remember, Carlos Alcaraz won the US Open last year, but Djokovic wasn't allowed to play. All of a sudden, the vax rules have dropped in the USA. Djokovic loves the hard courts. He's won in Australia so many times. So, yeah, it's going to be a big threat. But I'm very excited about this rivalry that's coming up, because we need something like that, especially with Rafa Nadal injured and Roger Federer having retired.
Yeah. Now, before we end it off, South Africans can expect Kevin Anderson to come back. Realistically, though, what can we expect from him? I mean, he's not a spring chicken like Alcaraz. He's 37.
Yeah, well, the problem is with Kevin, he's a very smart guy. I mean, he's really a smart guy. He thought carefully about this. It wasn't about money. He wanted to come back. He enjoys tennis. He enjoyed competing, and his body is now recovered from the injuries. He's got a very big serve. He hits the balls nicely. No, I don't know what to expect, because there's so many young kids on the on the tour at the moment, like Carlos Alcaraz. It's going to give him a hard time. But I think, give him his due. He's got to number 5 in the world. We've seen him get to finals, like at Wimbledon at the US Open, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. Apart from Carlos and perhaps Marketa, who else impressed you this season, especially in the women's division?
Well, I think that we've got to remember that Iga Swiatek is still a dominant player. I mean, she's a really, really strong player. She didn't do so well at Wimbledon. She's never been very comfortable on the grass, but she's really, really had an incredible year, considering she was injured. I still think that Coco Gauff, unfortunately, with all the rain at Wimbledon, her game didn't get justice, because she doesn't like, the slower courts. She prefers the fast courts. I think Coco Gauff is going to have a better US swing. And I think, it's very difficult in the women's singles. In the men's singles, there's a host of them, man. Casper Ruud, this kid is good. He's also going to be a big name coming forward. And I think that Tsitsipas has sort of found a groove now. He's been not performing as well as we hoped he will. There's also Holger Rune, and of course Yannick Sinner, the Italian, he's going to be a big name in the future. If
I'm listening to you correctly, or picking up a few hints there, you are probably saying that we're going to have a new champion in the US Open, in the men's side especially.
I do think that we're going to have a new champion. I think we could have a new champion in the men and women's singles. However, Alcaraz is playing such good tennis. He's got a very good chance of defending his title. As I said, Djokovic is back in the US. That's always going to be a threat. But there's a host of young players hungry to win a Grand Slam, and I think it's going to be a very open tournament. We'll have to see how the tournaments go leading into the US Open. There's some big ones. They play in Canada, they've got to play in Cincinnati, etc., etc. Those are big tournaments, and a lot is gauged from the success of the players on those tournaments, because they're mandatory tournaments. They have to play them, and then we see who's got the groove on the hard courts. Medvedev not to be ruled out. Best hard court player in the world.
Well, thank you so much, Bruce Davidson, wrapping up with the tennis for us. It's always a pleasure to come back. We're going to chat to you soon. As soon as we head over to hardcourt, Bruce Davidson there, wrapping up the 2023 edition of Wimbledon, won by Marketa VondrU-shoova as well as Carlos Alcaraz.